Okay, in this video we're going to look at bearings in trigonometry. So let's see what are bearings. Well, bearings describe the direction of one location from another. Now that's important. The direction of one location from another. Okay, so a bearing is just a direction. Now here are some directions we're familiar with. We've got north, we've got south, we've got east, and we've got west. Northeast, southeast, and so on. Now the bearings that we use in Year 9, we look at three figure bearings first, and that describes the angles as so. North is 0 degrees, northeast is 045 degrees, east is 090 degrees, south is 180 degrees, west is 270 degrees, and back again to 360. So the first method of bearings to look at is three figure bearings, which means all bearings have to be written with 3 digits. Now, we often have an abbreviated compass. We either have this one here, or just a single arrow with a north line. That can be quite useful. So, definition: a bearing is an angle measurement used to describe the direction of one location from another. The angle is measured clockwise from north and is always written with 3 digits. This is called a three-figure bearing or a true bearing. Now let's have a look at our first example. This question says, show the bearing or direction of Darwin from Sydney. Now the key word here is from. Okay. The reason that's important is because that's where we're going to draw our compass at. So let's have a look at that. Now, the key word is from, and it's from Sydney. So that means our direction is being described from Sydney. So I missed there. Now, draw your compass in at Sydney. Now the direction we're talking about is from Sydney to Darwin. There should be a straight line there. And remember, this is north, south, east, and west. Now with bearings, it's very important to remember that the bearing is a clockwise angle measured from north. Now north is always, if you like, 0 degrees, east is 90, and so on. So starting from here, clockwise. Now that angle there, if we can figure that out, is going to be the bearing of Darwin from Sydney. Now thinking about this, south is 180 degrees, and west is 270. And back to where we started from, there's a full 360-degree rotation. So that means our bearing is somewhere between 270 and 360. It looks around about halfway, maybe a little bit less. So we'd write down the bearing of Darwin. Put down Darwin here. Of Darwin from Sydney is now somewhere between 270 and 360. Let's just estimate it for this, so maybe 310 degrees, something like that, 315. Let's have a look at the next one. We've got to show the bearing of Sydney from Darwin. So the key word is from. Because the direction is being described from Darwin, we draw the compass in right at Darwin. Okay. Now, the direction of Sydney from Darwin. Now remember, it's a clockwise angle. So the angle we're looking at is clockwise from north. So that's the angle we've got to work out. There's north, there's south, east, and west. Okay. Now remember that north is 0 degrees. East is 90 degrees. South is 180 degrees. So we've got an angle somewhere between 90 and 180. So maybe we're looking at an angle about halfway between there, maybe looking at about 130 degrees, something like that, roughly halfway. So we say the bearing or the direction of Sydney from Darwin is, we estimate to be about 130 degrees. Okay, let's move on. Now, let's have a look at our first example. Now see how the compass, the centre of the compass is at B. That means the bearing is being taken from B. So the bearing of C from B is, now clockwise from north, north is 0 degrees. Clockwise from north, that angle there is the bearing. Now, with 3 figure bearings, you can't just write 60 degrees. It's got to always have 3 digits, so you write down 060. Now, for this one here, we're looking, notice that the centre of the compass is at Y. That means the bearing is being taken from Y. So we're looking at the bearing of X from Y. Now we're looking at the clockwise angle from north. That's always what you're looking at. Clockwise from north. How do we work that out? Well, we know that this is 90. So if this is 34, 34 plus what gives me 90? Well, 56 degrees. Okay, so the bearing is 056 degrees. Let's look at the next one. Okay. Now, again, you can see that the centre of the compass is at A, so the bearing is being taken from A. So we're looking at the bearing of B, there it is, the direction of B from A is, now remember it's a clockwise angle, it's from north. So from north, clockwise direction, that's the angle we've got to work out. Now, remember that's 0 degrees there, 90 there, 180 up to south, and 270 degrees up to west. Okay, so easy way to work this one out is, if I can work out what this angle is in here, then I just have to add that to 180, because 180 is just up to there. Then I've got my bearing. So let's think about this. There's 51. I know that this angle here, it's going to be a bit messy here, but there is 90. So 51 plus what is equal to 90? Well, that's going to be 39 degrees. So let me just rub some of this out so we can create a bit more space. So we've got, this is 39 degrees in there. Okay, so let's think about this. We've got our angle up to here is 180, right? Plus an extra 39 degrees. That's going to give us 219 degrees there for the bearing. Okay, let's look at the next one. Now, the centre of the compass is at A, so the bearing's been taken from A. So we're looking at the direction of B from A. Now, it's got to be clockwise from north. So this is the angle we're after. Okay, so it's actually very similar to the previous one. Now, from 0 degrees up to south, that's 180. So we've got 180 plus 37. And that's going to give us 217 degrees as the bearing. Looking at the next one, the last one. Okay, now the centre of the compass is at M, so the bearing's being taken from M. So we're looking at the bearing of P from M. Okay, so let's have a look. I want to work out the clockwise direction. Alright, so that's 0 degrees, remember. That's 90. That's 270. That's not 270. that's 180. This is 270, and then all the way back to the beginning, the full turn is 360. So this angle here is 22. That's 22 degrees off a full turn. So if I subtract 22 degrees off a full turn, I'm going to get 338, and that's the bearing.